I've got to say, this song was made for Salman Khan. He totally killed it there. But welcome to Financial Fridays. Now, the topic of discussion this morning is beneficial ownership. Now, we've heard this term being thrown around, so it's only right that we get educated on it. I've got Dennis Aroka with me. He is a partner at the Equatorial Secretaries and Registrars. That's a company that provides corporate secretarial services to a bunch of different types of clients. And Dennis, you yourself have 20 years experience in the corporate secretarial services. So today you're going to be teaching us a lot about beneficial ownership, isn't that right?
Yeah, I'll do that. Thank you.
Well, I see you actually have a bachelor's of law as well. So we have one thing in common already.
Okay.
But today you'll be our teacher. Can you explain to us exactly what beneficial ownership is?
Yeah, actually, you find that when people form companies, the kind of ownership structure can be in a manner that it is owned by another different limited company. Or a person may decide to nominate somebody else to be his trustee or to own it through a trust. So you find that the Act now requires that you must disclose the person who is the natural person behind the company.
Okay, so if a company owns another company, that is not enough. You need to disclose the original owners and the individuals.
Yes, and the individual must be the natural person behind the company.
So by natural person, you mean an actual human and not an entity like a company.
Exactly.
Okay, and it's got me a little bit confused, because when we learn about business and even in law, we learn that you have a limited liability company, so you yourself are a totally different entity. So why is it now that the law is requiring the beneficial owners to be revealed?
The reason why the law requires that is because you find that when you look at the nature of trade in the world today, people do so many different things with companies, including money laundering, terrorism financing, and non-payment of taxes. So what the world is trying to do through agreements made between different countries is that they want to know who is actually behind this company for the purposes of ensuring that proper taxes are paid and that illicit money does not move from country to country. Okay,
so that's a really good explanation there. So if you are planning to do any illicit businesses and you want to hide behind a company, that cannot happen anymore. That limited liability doesn't protect you. Am I right in summarizing it like that?
Yeah, actually that is what the intention of this particular law. Yeah, because all companies and all individuals are required to do clean business.
Okay.
So basically this is bringing the world into a small village whereby you are not able to do funny things.
And you know who is behind it.
Exactly.
Okay, so if you're a businessman, this is super important for you if you're planning to go into business. So keep it here. We'll be all about beneficial ownership. Thank you so much for joining us, Dennis, and I can't wait to go more into this.
Okay, thank you.
27 minutes past. And welcome to Financial Fridays. This morning we're talking about beneficial ownership. And just to give you a little bit of a recap, basically we were all taught in school about limited liability companies, where the owners of a company are safe from liability if things go wrong. And it's almost like a protection, but that might not always be the case. And that's because of some new beneficial ownership laws. And I've got Dennis Aroka. He's the partner at Equatorial Secretaries and Registrars with me. Dennis, can you walk me through the new laws around beneficial ownership?
Okay, thank you. What happened is in 2011, Kenya signed a partnership on open government with 78 other countries, including Australia, Canada, US, and UK, to implement these open government sharing of information. And in order to enact that, in 2019, Kenya amended the Companies Act to introduce a section that requires that every company must keep a register of beneficial owners and also update the register of companies of who these beneficial owners are.
Okay, so there's a separate register now for beneficial owners,
Yes.
where their names need to be listed.
Yeah, the names need to be listed, and at the same time, the names must be provided to the registrar of companies.
Okay.
Yeah, so in order to implement this requirement, the Attorney General published the regulations to implement this sometime in February last year, and in October, they implemented it, in which all companies were now required to file the register with the registrar of companies. However, since it was a new concept and nobody knew about it, a deadline was given of 31st of January this year.
This year, 31st of January 2021.
2021. Unfortunately, most people did not comply because they were not aware of this requirement, and therefore a new deadline has been given for 31st of July to ensure that all companies comply.
Okay, so if you have a company, this is very, very important for you. 31st of July, you must get your affairs in order and reveal the beneficial ownership. Now, if you're still confused, I'm just going to do a quick illustration, and Dennis, please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
Let's say company A now buys out company B. On company B's beneficial ownership registrar, the owners of company A must appear. Is that correct?
Yeah, what happens is if there's a chain of ownership in companies, and you find that company B owns company A,
Yes.
company A must disclose in its records who the ultimate owners of company B is,
The
because the
individuals.
ownership, the ownership of company B is the ultimate ownership of company A.
Okay, so this is a message for you. Please get those affairs in order. We're actually going to be talking more about these laws and exactly what information you need to provide. So keep it here. If you have any questions for Dennis, he is here until 9 o'clock. So please send in your messages 0758 123 444. Dennis Aroka, he's the partner at the Equatorial Secretaries and Registrars, and we've been talking about beneficial ownership. I'm going to give you a quick recap, although the full interview will be available on our at Radio 44 Kenya YouTube channel. But basically what beneficial ownership is, it is a mechanism that allows everyone to know who are the true owners and controllers of a company. So now you can't get away with just saying company A owns company B. You need to say exactly who from company A has by proxy owns company B. Dennis, is that right?
Yeah, that's true.
I'm on my way to becoming an expert at this, aren't I?
Yeah, actually you're doing well.
Okay, well, I actually want you to tell us about what information needs to be registered. What exactly does the government need to know about the beneficial owners?
Yeah, actually what one needs to give is the full name of this ultimate beneficial owner, their PIN number, nationality, postal address, residential address, occupation if an individual, and the nature of the ownership or control that you're having in this particular company.
Okay, so that was the 4 categories we had spoken about earlier. Is that right? Or?
Yeah, this is now the information that needs to be given for each and every beneficial owner.
Okay, and what happens if a beneficiary turns around and says, hey, this KRA PIN, my address, my occupation, that's my private information that I would not like anyone to know?
Yeah, actually, the law requires that when the directors have determined who the beneficial owner is, then the directors must write to this person, giving the person 21 days in which to provide the information we've just mentioned. And failure to do that, then a warning notice must be given to this person that you have not provided the information within the required time. At the same time, the directors are required to notify the registrar of companies that this person is not providing the information within that period that is required. What is the consequence of not complying? It requires that the shares of this particular individual must be restricted in the company. What we mean by restriction is that from that particular point that the restriction is put in, you're not allowed to receive any dividends that is due to you. You cannot be allotted any shares that you're supposed to buy. You're not allowed to participate in the decision making of the company, and likewise you're not allowed to transfer those shares out to any individual until such a time that you comply.
So you basically lose your beneficial ownership in a way.
Yeah, technically it's frozen.
Yes, it's
until
frozen.
such a time that you actually comply.
Reveal.
Yeah, until you reveal.
So this is all due on the 31st of July.
31st of July. And it's also important to note that this information, once given to the registrar, it cannot be given to the public. Nobody in the public will have access to this information.
Okay.
Only that the registrar, based on a court order,
Yes.
or with the permission of the beneficial owner, or if it is required by any regulator or security agency,
It must be asked for, requested
it
for.
must be requested for in writing, and the registrar will be obliged to give it out.
So it's not public information. So if you're having some doubts about the beneficial ownership, listen, your information is safe and it's in your interest to give out this information.
Exactly.
Dennis, you have provided us with so much knowledge. I want to say a huge thank you. Thank you so much for joining us as well on the Morning Fix.
Okay, thank you for hosting me.
It's been awesome. If you have any more questions, we're just it close, but you can still message us at 0758 123
Keep in touch.
444.
Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Radio